Okay, ladies and gentlemen, good evening, good morning, and good afternoon. My name is Ter Wal, as you can see, and I'm going to take you with me in an exciting journey about the relationship between employee engagement and profitability. It's organized by a small world, and I'm very happy that they asked me to present to you tonight. I will do my presentation first, then we will have a panel opportunity. At the end, you will see my QR code. And if you want the slides, just let me know and I will take care of it that you get it. So why employee engagement? Well, we live in strange times. We all know a lot about COVID-19 and we know what it's doing to our world. On the other hand, we try to stay alive and we try to stay happy. And a lot of people tell us that we need to stay happy and that happiness can be sometimes the woo happiness. But what I will talk about is the happiness connected to your core values and the happiness that is deepened and that will take you through a longer period of time and what you can do with that happiness. So I will talk with you about some of the issues, and many of those people here on the screen I know and I met, and some of them are even my colleagues. And we talk about personal values. We talk about energy. We talk about business modeling because this is also a business product. We even talk about money and non-negotiable. And of course, we talk about purpose. And what I will address are these seven keys to talent management engagement. Be aware that those seven not only influence your work, but will influence your personal life as well. So we're going to discuss why you should give attention to engagement and to these seven items. Maybe you know people surrounding you who look like this, a little bit stressed. In the Netherlands, we have 17 million people living, and at this moment, about 6 million of them are on the enter of a burnout. So it's quite dangerous to be in that situation that you have a lot of anxiety, that you are mad, or that you are scared and that you are totally unhappy with what's happening in your life. And maybe you know these people as well. We call them never satisfied, but we can call it whatever it takes in this period of time. By the way, this is my dog. It's called Bear. He has no energy. I doubt about his motivation. I know for sure his productivity is low and he has a high percentage of sick leave. Maybe you know those people in your organizations or around you. Is that terrible? For them, it is. For us, yeah, it could cost us money. So, this is what I hear a lot in the market. And then we're here to help. And who should take notice? Well, most of all, we see that HR people are connecting to the human beings in organizations. And I totally disagree. I think the CEO, the CFO, and the CHRO are responsible for happiness and well being in the organization. And of course, you are responsible yourself for your own happiness. So I'm covering all human beings in organizations. I don't like to use the word HR, human resource. We're not resources, we're human beings. We matter. So we need to take care of ourselves and we need to take care of others as well. And you know, always know when you fly in the time that we still could fly, that the hostess said, take care of yourself first, then take care of somebody else. What we see nowadays, especially in the healthcare services, that they take care of others and forget about themselves. So let's be aware of what we're doing. This is me just a couple of months ago when I was on the edge of screaming and being happy. Because what I did in the year that COVID-19 came, I was an international president of the Global Speakers Federation. I was responsible, together with Renee, for a lot of speakers in the whole world. I was traveling around the world. I'm a corporate speaker. I'm a head lecturer of a business university, and I started as a lawyer on labor law. And nowadays, I'm an international consultant, and I use internet to speak to people all around the world. And I call myself a global engagement explorer. I like to meet you when you want to talk with me about engagement in your organization. I want to explore what's going on all around the world to see what this COVID period is doing with engagement and how we can take care of it and learn from it for the future. This is my walking shoe. And you know, of course, that in these special circumstances, we need to go out for at least 30 minutes a day for a good walk. And that's what I'm doing. I'm walking around the block at least 2 hours a day. I just did it before I started this webinar. I love to walk, but I love to walk some extreme stuff as well. I walked the Camino to Santiago de Compostela. I did it in 2013 and 2014. I had it planned for coming April to walk again because this is the holy year, but I have postponed it to next year, April. I will start on the right side in Saint-Jean-Pied-de-Port, that's in France, and I will walk 820 kilometers, 510 miles to Santiago to Compostela. Why do you do it? Well, I wanted to find out what spiritual things are working for me. I wanted to see how things are going in the right way. But what happened on day 3, I noticed that I wrecked my ankles. I stepped in a mud hole and I couldn't walk anymore. So I had to stop. What happened? I went on, of course, because that's who I am. I went on for another 2 weeks, then had to stop in the picture Boadilla del Camino because I was spitting blood because of the medication I took and kept on walking. A year after, I restarted again. And I was back at the same place at this square on the same day at the same time, but not on the Saturday, but on the Sunday. And I finished my Camino within 2 weeks. I came in Santiago, and here you see my posse with whom I walked. And the guy on my left side in the picture is now a priest. And we talked a lot about spiritual things during walking. Why did I do it? Well, I wanted to create and see what my purpose in life is. I wanted to know what's happening in my life and why I do the things I do. And you all know Simon Sinek with the why. Well, Aristotle started with it. Well, Confucius started with it, with asking, what is your purpose in life? Why do you do what you do? I have friends, I have family, I have colleagues. They are important to me, but we need to have our own personal purpose. And at the end, I will tell you what my brand new purpose is. But for me, the most important part is to get to know what your core values are. And this is the main issue of my presentation. Know what your non-negotiables are. The things in your life that you're not willing to change. That's who you are. Can they adjust? Yeah, of course. Do they really fundamentally change? No, it's who you are. I can tell you in 2018, I was in South Africa with my 2 coaches, Mike and Lundy, and we were talking about my 3 core values. And I said, integrity, family is my center of focus, and fun is my fundament. Then Landy said to me on the Sunday morning, Paul, integrity is not your core value. And I started to doubt her whether she was mentally ill or whatever, because I was convinced as a lawyer that it was integrity. But she explained later on in the week that it was transparency leading to integrity. And here you see that a non-negotiable or a core value shouldn't be one word, but should be a sentence. Then it makes it clear to all people that you talk about it. And I must say, everybody surrounding you must know your core values, and must is a must. And I added loyalty because I know that I'm very loyal to the people who understand my non-negotiable, my core values, and are willing and happy to accept them and work from those, because for me, these four are very important. And fun as fundamental, this means that I will stop doing things I don't like. And then, of course, people will say, yeah, but you're in a position that you can stop a job. You have enough money. No, I haven't. But what I notice is that when I'm not doing things I like, I lose so much energy that I don't have enough energy left for the other stuff I'm doing. And that brings me to the next step. I was working in Social Security for many years, and I was on the top in sick leave support. I helped companies all over the Netherlands and the UK with to reduce sick leave, because sick leave is very expensive and it's not good for the human beings that are sick. So I saw thousands of cases and faces during my campaigns. But finally, I found out that I could be working as a lawyer on sick leave, but people needed me most on creating more engagement and with that accountability. For me, you can be accountable and you should be accountable for all the actions, but it comes with engagement and responsibility. If you can be responsible for what you're doing, then we can hold you accountable. So I transformed, and that's why I'm an explorer. I went all over the world, sometimes with Renee, traveling and talking to a lot of people and asking them, what is it in your values that creates profit? So you need to know your core values, because then it will be profitable for you as a person, for your family, for your friends, for your team, and for your company. So we created the value to profit model. And what's most important in this model is this. This should be the slide of the evening. If you know your core values and you live your core values and you stand by your core values, it will charge your battery. And you all know that burnt out means that there is going more energy out of your body, out of your mind, than you are regaining. So you need to recharge your battery. Sometimes I love to do nothing for an hour. I can meet with people and just sit there for an hour or 2 hours just listening. Why? It recharges me, it gives me energy, and we need to be silent to create awareness and to create more energy. So, if you know your core values and you live by them, you will do things that will give you energy and recharge your battery, and with that, the big item of profitability in your life will come. It doesn't mean you will be rich, because richness has nothing to do with profitability. It can be an outcome, but it's not part of it. Well, can I prove it scientifically? Yes, I can. This is the job demand resources model. It's made by two Dutch professors, Arnold Bakker and Wilma Schauffele. I work with both of them. They created a model that says if you create enough energy, and it's a flying wheel and it keeps on going and going and it creates energy for you, then engagement will go up. Your profitability and your productivity will go up. On the other hand, if you do stuff in your life that sucks the energy out of you, then the job demands you're doing, but also your private demands will be so tough that you will start self undermining and that you will get into a burnout. So for me, engagement is going to work with a lot of energy, but coming home with even more energy, because at home is the most important part of your life. That's where you and your family or your friends live together. What you see on the left side are the non-negotiables. That wasn't in the job demands resources model. They say it was included, and I don't believe it. I think you need to have the non-negotiables of yourself and the core values of your company, and there should be alignment between those two. If there is disalignment and the core values of the company don't fit in your core values, leave, do something else, because it's draining your energy. And it doesn't mean they need to be exactly the same, of course not, but they must align, they must fit together. That doesn't need to be a conflict, they can love each other. If you have those non-negotiables and alignment, your personal resources will go up, your job resources will go up, engagement and happiness will go up, productivity and other things will go up, and you will be a better human being inside and outside your work. So this is the model. What did we do with it? Well, the four most important things are your purpose in life. We discussed it. For me, it's also important to know how much autonomy you have. And with autonomy, I mean that you have the opportunity to say what you want to change within your work. Because you're the expert, you're the professional in what you're doing. You're not a slave, you're a professional. And your managers, your leaders should listen to you. It's all about feedback and that kind of stuff, but you know what I mean. And every person in every job, wherever I come in the world, even in Namibia, where I've been 5 times in the last 2 years, I saw that even people on the street had enough autonomy to decide what they want to do. Are they listened to? Not always. We need to listen. Sometimes we need to be silent, even for a speaker. Wow. You need to belong to something. You need to belong to a group. And in these days where we're working from home and we're sitting the whole days behind Zoom, Teams, whatever, it will mean that you need to work on belonging, that you need to work on friendships. You can do it online. In the Netherlands, we're not allowed to have 2 visitors per day, only one. So even a family can't come. So that's difficult. And you need to work on your competencies, of course, but we do it all the time. So we called this the ABC of engagement. And purpose is for me the red carpet that you need. So this will work, making it all stronger. And I'm watching the time. I have enough time to go through all the material that I have. So, but I want to stop at 45 so that you will have time to ask questions. So first, we need to find our purpose. It means that you need to find out why you did it. I walked the Camino. Is that a necessity to find your purpose? Of course not. Is it lovely? Yes, it is. It's great to be away for 28 days without a computer, with only a small Motorola phone so you can call your family and my physiotherapist. And that's all. Just live by day. And the most important thing walking the Camino is to make the first step in the morning. And you hear that I become more mindful when I think about it. And I must tell you, I miss walking the Camino or any other part, but the Camino has some spiritual, religious atmosphere, but it's not allowed to be in Spain at this moment. But purpose is crucial for all of us. Do we learn at school how to look at purpose? No, we don't. So we have programs to help you. Then we work on autonomy. We go and look inside your organization or inside your private life, and we see what can you do because it's your responsibility to create more autonomy, to create more responsibility, to be accountable for who you are and what you do. And then we work on the belonging within teams and in competencies. And that's why I asked my friend and colleague Renee to be next to me. Not that she's part of this presentation, but she's a good friend and gives me the feeling of belonging in that lovely world of professional speakers that before COVID met every month somewhere in the world just to meet, to belong to a family, to a tribe, as we call it. And of course, you need to check whether you have the right competencies for your job or whether your job still fits your competencies. I see a lot of people doing their jobs, but they don't like their work anymore. They want to do something else, but because of financial reasons, they are not going to stop with that job. And I'm not going to say stop tomorrow and see that you find something else. That's silly. But you need to be aware of who you are, what you can do. I will go to Gallup later on. Gallup has a great test, the Q12. I have a game, a serious game called Survival Island that you can use to find your competencies and to find out where you want to go. These four are very important. And what we challenge organizations, and if you are a CEO or a CFO or an HR manager, I invite you for free to go to Engagement Benchmark Tool Guide, ebt.guide, and fill the questions on these 16 words that you see above on purpose, autonomy, belonging, and competencies. It is about the acceptance. It's about mission and vision. Some people call it vision and mission. I don't care. That's all good. It's about alignment. Does the CEO know whether the core values, the non-negotiables of the organization fits the majority of the employees? Or did they set the core values on a Friday afternoon, published it on Monday on the intranet and said, well, these are our core values? Is it really that they know what the core values are? So let's see. Also, feedback boundaries. You can read it. If you want to check it, please go to ebt.guide. No charges, no responsibility. You can do it. You will find the outcome. If you want to know more, you have to fill in your email address and I will have a look at it. Here, purpose. Later on, I will tell you that purpose is connected to absenteeism, presenteeism, retention, and attrition. You see the word ikigai. That is the highest purpose that you can find. That's the combination of mission, vision, goals, and values. It's the top purpose in your life. We call it also connected to the blue zones. You have it in Japan, but you have it on Sardinia as well. So it's everywhere in the world that you have groups of people who have found their ikigai. So try to be one of them. One of the companies I love most for their purpose is Zappos. If you never heard of them, they are an American company. Tony Hsieh was their CEO and founder, but he died a couple of weeks ago. But Zappos.com works from their 10 family core values. You can find them on their website. It's so important to them that they even select people only on their core values. They say, we will train your competencies. That will be okay. That's not an issue. But you must fit in our family. They have 1,800 employees and they have a next company now delivering happiness. Go there. We are colleagues. We are working on partnership. I love what they are doing. So I always say, let's make the pie bigger. Let's work together instead of being competitors, because that's silly, and especially in these times. So Zappos is a great example of a company that has a clear purpose. They know what they stand for. They know what they want to achieve. And that is happy employees and happy customers. And in that order, first the employees, then the customers. You can't do it the other way around. Autonomy. It has to do with boundaries. Of course, there are boundaries in your work. Of course, there is somebody who says we need to make a car, and then you need to do it in the way that is supposed to do. But still, you have your own responsibility in your work, and you can discuss it with your colleagues and with your leaders. You should do it. Recognition, of course, that's important. You are the professional. We need to take care of our professionals. We're not doing it. We're still organized like this, with the CEO on top and professionals on the bottom. It should be different. Professionals here and all the facilitators on the virtual line, but supporting the professionals. In healthcare, I want to know that a nurse exactly knows what she needs to do. She is the professional, and we need to treat them as true professionals. And of course, we need to have feedback. I know there is positive feedback and there is negative feedback. I know. I like to see that we use appreciative inquiry in dealing with conversations. So be positive in your approach. Mind your own mind. Know why you are asking questions and what it could do to those others if you ask that questions. In the Netherlands now we have the phrase, oh, we're working on the good conversation. Every conversation should be good, otherwise you need to keep your mouth shut and be silent. So feedback is always positive. People should recognize it, because then we support autonomy and responsibility. One of the companies, maybe you don't know it, but in the Netherlands, it's one of the biggest home care organizations with more than 9,000 employees. They have teams of about 6 to 8 people in every neighborhood in the Netherlands, and they are completely self-organizing. They have a small staff of about 20 people, 9,000 employees, 20 people staff. Listen, 20 people in the staff, and those 20 people are supporting buurtzorg, as it's called, neighborhood care, and they are self-organizing teams. They have maximum autonomy. Are they well educated? Yes, they are. Of course, they should be. They need to know what their job is all about, but all the rules and the financial stuff is done by a small staff with great IT. Then belonging. That has to do with culture. Culture is the way we do things around here. That's how we talk about our organization, our colleagues, our leaders at the coffee machine. That's why we miss it. We miss the belonging of the gossip. And gossip is important because it's part of culture. So don't mind if they say, oh, you can't gossip. Yeah, that's human being. So it needs to be positive. It needs to be supportive and not trying to kill somebody. So culture is the way we do things around here. It's the unwritten ground rules, the UGRs of an organization. It's the fundament above the purpose that creates the core values and depends on how we work. Create a ring of steel. I created a ring of steel of 8 speakers at the beginning of the Corona lockdown. everywhere in the world, and we wrote a book together. And it's my ring of steel. And every Friday afternoon at 5 p.m., we are on Zoom. We drink a glass of beer, just 1 hour, one glass of beer, and we say, relax, week is done, enjoy your weekend, see you next week. That's belonging. I know I'm part of a ring of steel that will help me whatever happens. And of course, change is there, and leadership needs to support us in change because change is always there. There is no other day without change. Now we complain about change, but it is our acceptance of the change. So be aware, take care of your belongings. A great organization on belonging is the Royal Dutch Airlines, KLM. They are called the Swan family. They have advertisement where you see a big swan coming into the water, and it's like a plane landing. And we call it the Blue family. And now they had to get rid of 5,000 people, and all the people were crying. It was one big family. And I think 80% of the Dutch people cried with them. That's why belonging is so important, that you have that family feeling. And you need to have that in your home, but also in your work, in your environment, in your society. Belonging is really crucial. Competence is, well, you know this. I'm not going to tell much about it, but what I see is that we lack succession planning. Do you know who the real stars are in your organization that you can help to get to the next level? Because they will help you into the next phase of your organization. So potential recognition is crucial for every organization. This is a nice one, and normally I would ask you to look at it and see how much of this circle has to do with your genes, the choices you make in your life, and the circumstances you live in. And I can tell you it's 50%, 40%, and 10%. And maybe I will leave this. We can discuss this later on. So think about it. Is genes, choices, circumstances, which of those three is most important for your happiness in your personal life? And not the whole daily happiness, no, the real long-term happiness. Let's use it later on. Maybe you will know the answer. I love this organization. I have the book here behind me. I made a copy of it yesterday. You see State of the Global Workplace by Gallup. This is 2016. They're working on the 2019 edition, but because of COVID, they said, let's wait till 2022. This has to do with the outcome of worldwide research on engagement in 155 countries. And you see, I had a carriage made with people in front of it, people on top of it, and people behind it. And I'm very inclusive, so this is a bad drawing. I agree. But hey, I still love it. We need to know how many people are in front of that car, how many people are really, truly engaged, who have that passion in their body when they get into the room. How many people are not really engaged, are more satisfied? That's what we research. Employee satisfaction. No, we should measure employee engagement. And you have to totally disengage people. If they see an opportunity to ruin the organization or to ruin a project, they will. They are the people that said, yeah, but, and then throw a missile and have it all exploded. Don't think they don't exist. They are there in every organization. And Gallup is researching it, and I will show you the world outcome. And if you want to find out your own country, then send me a message. If you want to find out your own organization, then we need to work it through because Gallup doesn't know it. 15% of the world population is truly engaged. 18% is totally disengaged. And the rest is somewhere in the middle. In the Netherlands, it's 16% up front, 18% on the back, and the rest is in the middle. And we call it satisfied people. And a lot of managers and leaders are happy with the engaged people. But when you look carefully, you will see that some of the people are already at the back of the carriage. They will fall off and be totally disengaged, and others will jump to the front and be fully engaged. We have some countries that are different. In 2019, 2020, in the US, the average monthly engagement rate was 32 till 34. I have no clue what it is today, but it was high. And it has to do with culture, that has to do with social security, it has to do with the spirit of the Americans. All those people that came in from all over the world and lived together and tried to build the American dream. And it exists, but not for that many. So this is the average. Try to check within your organization, and you can use the engagement benchmark tool to see what it is in your own organization. And be careful, you need to be true to yourself if you give the answers. Now, why would you do it? How will it help us? Well, this is the outcome of worldwide research. This is the outcome, what it does when you have more engaged people than disengaged people. Because an engaged person will create more sales, will be much less sick, will have more satisfaction and effectiveness and productivity, and errors are totally down, and they're not leaving your organization. So these figures are very important for the result. And I was complaining to Gallup about the 17% productivity increase. And then one of the consultants of Gallup said, but Paul, that is still one total day. So if they work 5 days, an engaged person has the productivity for 6 days. And he didn't add, but we only paid him for 5 days. And I thought, that's something to discuss. But you see, a lot of things are up and it's all positive. In the Netherlands, for example, when you are disabled, you are sick and can't work, the company will pay your income for the next 104 weeks. First 100% for a year, and then another year 70%. Why? Are we insane? Some think so. But no, it's to keep people connected to the company. The result on getting back to work is much higher if you still have an employer, if you still belong to a team, than when you're outside in some social security. The rest of Europe is doing it another way, and we see positive results in the Netherlands, and I'm very positive about it as well. If you want to start doing this, well, it will require a lot of discussion. I'm convinced that you need to talk about this. Will it take many months? No, it doesn't, because this is just common sense. I think all that I said will sound to you, yeah, common sense, we should do it that way. But it's difficult to implement it in your organization. And I'm happy because that's part of my role. Now I want to show you a video with a summarizing.
A happy workplace. What is that exactly? How does happiness make money? And what is sustainable employability? Paul supports employers with creating more profitability by increasing engagement of employees, seeking the balance between organization and human beings. because one cannot function without the other. But how do they function in a good way? The keyword is core values. We can see core values as non-negotiables. It is something we can't negotiate about ever. It is the reason why we do what we do, parts of our being that we have to follow. And finding them is of utmost importance, both for ourselves as for businesses. People work at the same job for years, but at some point, it is literally not working for them anymore. The job demands can become so big that we lose so much energy that we cannot focus on the job anymore. But why? Because there is no longer alignment between the core values of themselves and those of the company. A company has a mission, a vision, and core values, just as human beings have their own core values. Knowing your core values and working from them, both as an individual and as an organization, is the right solution. Because knowing your non-negotiables will help you make decisions in difficult situations at work and in normal life as well. If there is alignment between the core values of the organization and yours, engagement and profitability will increase, and with that, the 7 keys of human capital engagement will be addressed. A highly engaged workforce means the difference between a company that thrives and one that struggles. Make your choice.
Okay, this is my presentation. For me, it's very important to state to you that making your choice means that you need to know what your purpose in life is and what your core values are. And everybody in the world and everybody who's listening and watching know their core values. But did we ever think about it in an open way that we can discuss it? And I suggest most of the time we have a list of about 400 words. Then you pick 20 of them and then you start connecting them. And then you will have 4 to 6 combination of words. And then you find out which one fits you most. And then you talk about it with friends. Then you talk about it with colleagues, your leader, and finally your family. I shouldn't start with it. You should end with it. I think it's important that we start to know our purpose. And I promise you, I will tell my purpose, what I found walking the Camino in 2014. And my purpose in life is to spread the message that happiness is combined with your non-negotiables, and that finding your non-negotiables will make you truly happy. That's what I hope for the whole world. I love to do presentations. You can go to my YouTube channel and use the video that I just shown to you, and there are others on it as well. I'd love to help you if you need it, but first we go to the conversations, and I stop sharing, and then we can start the discussion. And I see already, yeah, Alicia said next year will be the holy year too. I totally agree. I know that the Pope accepted it, and the holy year means that Santiago, Saint Jacob, had his birthday on a Sunday, and that was this year in December. So in December last year, the holy year started, and because of Corona, they changed it to a 2-year period. I'm happy, and I will be there. I'm still planning to do a 2-week Camino in Portugal from Porto to Santiago. But next year, April, I will do the big one, as we call it. And it will be fun to do so. Let's see. Massimo said how time dimension affects alignment of people and organization. Maybe you can explain, Massimo. Maybe you can tell me what you mean with time dimension. As you noticed, I'm not a native English speaker. I come from the Netherlands, so sometimes I see words of questions that I think, what is your combination? Maybe Renee Lee can help me out. Maybe she can unmute and help me what it is.
I am also unmuted, and I think that we need to hear a better explanation of what he's asking, Paul. It's not your English.
Okay. Massimo, can you explain what you mean? How time dimension affects alignment of people? It looks like that there is a third dimension in it. And well, that will be true, I think. Maybe if you check alignment today, could be different. Oh, yeah. I agree. As I said, core values of a company and core values of an individual can change, can adjust. I don't think they will change completely. Like my explanation of transparency and integrity. Of course, when I explained to Landy, my coach, what I meant with integrity, she said, yeah, but is this then the right word that you use for what you're describing? She said, because we know you and you want to find out why people say the things that they say. So you want transparency and then you make your opinion. What I see in a lot of companies that we have core values that can be explained in many ways, and then alignment is difficult. So, and it can mean if your non-negotiable change, adjust, that you should leave. That's an option. And it's never wrong, because we sometimes think that you need to adjust and stay there. No. If you look at the youngest generation, we have now the YZ generation, and even the alphas are coming in. They are now around 15 years old. The new generation is coming, and then we will have 5 generations at the work area. The Z generation is totally different than mine. In some literature, I'm a boomer, and at others I'm an X. Well, I'm maybe both. When I see those youngsters act, they say to a company, what can you do for me? What can you make as contribution to me? Isn't that amazing? I love it. Normally it was you came, you did your conversation, and they said, okay, what can you do for us, Paul? And then you see there was a different approach. Now I think that those youngsters, they are responsible to themselves. They are accountable to the same. And that means that they will challenge companies like Cepos. And Cepos is way beyond everybody. They are, for me, the massive. And that's why I said go to Delivering Happiness, because they have great stuff. 5 generation on the workplace. Yeah, Massimo, it's going to happen, because I'm not going to retire when I'm 67. I will still be there at 72. And I hear my partners complain, oh no, don't do it. Well, I will be there. And then the youngsters will be there, and they will be 18 to 20. And they will challenge me on my core values. And I love it, because we don't do it. We accept the things as they are. So the autonomy is small with those people. With that, responsibility is low, accountability is low. And we make them responsible and accountable, but we don't give them the space, the instruments to be truly accountable. So we need to change looking from human resources into human beings and respect people. So we don't need managers, we need leaders. And leaders are supporting the people, they are standing behind them and helping them. And sometimes they get in front of the troops. In a lot of wars, you see the generals on a hill somewhere back. No, the real leaders are here. They are standing in front of you, helping you to make the right decision, making you responsible and accountable, and giving you great autonomy so that you can do what you need to do. And that's not dying, of course. You get the point. Other questions? Other questions? I hope you will have. Come on, challenge me. I love it. Oh, there is Mara. What is the best way to honor the experience of a valuable employee who is experiencing a change for information in the values? Is there an ideal way to still keep them in the company by creating smooth transition? Yeah, well, this is, you're asking a question and you're giving the answer. It is strange in organizations if somebody says, I don't feel well anymore, I don't fit in anymore, that we want to get rid of them as soon as possible. And that's silly. I think we should invest time and money in those people to say goodbye to them in a fair and decent way. So give them a smooth transition. We call it an amplition budget. It's amplition, but it's amplitio means to make it better, to create more distance, to make it bigger. So if somebody doesn't fit in and you have a conversation with them and you see, well, we are going a little bit left, like now banks. Banks had a lot of people working in offices. Now with automation and robotization, they don't need that many people anymore. We are starting to get used to doing bank business on the computer. And I must say, we do it on our phones in the Netherlands and in Europe. I know in America, they still have those checks. Well, you can't bring a check to the bank anymore in the Netherlands. They will laugh at you. So we need less people in the bank offices. So the next step can be hard, do it the Anglo-Saxon way, and just fire them and get out of them. Or you say, no, we're in a transition. We will help you in the coming 5 to 6 months. Here you have $4,000 to $6,000 to make it work for you, and we will help you. We will give you a coach, and please take care of yourself. And then some CEOs and CFOs will tell me, Paul, that will cost us tons of money. No, look at the outcome of engagement. Productivity goes up, sick leave goes down. They will make less mistakes. Why? Because people want to be supported. And if you do it to one person, another person will feel supported, will feel that they belong. So it will be great to help people. And I know, is this common? No, not yet, but we need to do it. So if somebody gets sick, we support them.
So, Paul,
yeah.
If I may just interject, I think these are amazing, really, information that you're giving, and how important it is sometimes to try to keep a valued employee who perhaps is having trouble on the job, and maybe just to ask a question, what can I do to make working here for you better? Just to find out what their problems are, and yes, to get a coach to work with them, or perhaps just the leader, the manager, to actually take the time to invest in that employee who isn't engaged, so that they can find out what the problem is and what the issue is, because taking that time actually is saving them money.
I totally agree. Thank you very much, Renee. I get a question. Can we get the presentation? Please send me an email, because not everybody wants to have all the slides. So send me a mail. I'm not going to spam you, of course not. I will give you an extract of the PowerPoint, and you will have it. And Natalia says, how long did it take you to figure this out and to find your purpose? I think I started working in 1982. I have no clue. I was still religious, so I think that was purpose in my life. That was told by us, by church, by the priest, by the figure. They told us this is your purpose. And then slowly you start changing and you're becoming more and more an adult. Then you're about 40, 45 years old. You settle, and when you settle, you will find more and more the solid ground for your purpose. Mine changed fundamentally in 2014 when I walked the Camino, that I thought, I'm not here on earth to serve myself. I'm here to tell these kind of stories to people, not for money only, but also for the fact that I think that we should give to the people and then you can receive. And a lot of people think give and take. So if this is giving and taking is this, then you close up. If you give and you hold your hands like this, you can receive. That's my purpose. I want to give and I will see what comes out of it. And if you like my story, I love it. Send me a message. If you think, Paul, you're totally wrong, great. Send me a message because that's what I like to hear. I see bedankt, so there is someone from the Netherlands here as well. Great to see you as well. Any questions? I thought that Natalia meant that how much time did it get to this story, and that's about 15 years. So if you have outgrown your position, have taken more responsibility, how do you bring this up to your boss in a way that shows that you're still committed to the company but would like to be a better title? This I understand your question, but in my opinion, that's still the Anglo-Saxon approach. That's the approach of you have a boss who is above you and not standing next to you. When you have a boss and he has 20 members in his team, they need to come to him and they explain and they say, well, you are very happy with me and the results are great. Can I get an increase of my income? Of course, you should get it. On the other hand, it's only a small part. And look, I didn't ask you answer the question of the happiness circle. Happiness has to do with much more than just money. If you outgrow your position, your leader should notice it. And otherwise, you start a conversation and say, hey, this is what I see. Do you see it as well? So it's not confrontation, it's communication. It's binding, commune together. It's working together and see, hey, this is what you try to achieve. And I think that should be the outcome of conversation, not talking about the past, but talking about the future. How can I help you? Like Renee said, how can I help you to fit in within this organization? Not only for the coming 6 months, but for the coming 2 years. And let's have a conversation on what you need in money, in whatever. Most of the time, recognition. And I don't want to have a title. If you look at a lot of companies, they have chief presentation officers and chief happiness officers and chief coffee officers. And I love the coffee officers because they have best barista training. So you will get a good cup of coffee, Italian coffee. So that's very important.
And if I may just add something to that, Paul, that you'd mentioned purpose. And I would say to this person for this question is to show your value. What is your purpose of being there and what can you contribute to the needs of the organization? And if you can show that to your manager, that you have thought ahead and that you can do something that will help the organization, then you're coming from a point of strength, not a point of weakness, and knowing what's important to you. And as you mentioned, Paul, knowing your core values.
Yeah. It seems like talking about core values is something soft. It's something that has to do with Buddhism and that kind. Yes, it has. On the other hand, it's what human beings are. We exist because we have core values, and neglecting it makes us unhappy. I think a lot of people with stress go back to that job demand resources model. A lot of people are not aware of what their core values are, and then you can't say no to whatever people ask you or press upon you, and you keep on going and you become a workaholic. So from an engaged person, you will go into a workaholic and then into a burnout. And I see a lot of people in that section where they can't say no to their family, to their friends, to their bosses, to their colleagues, to social media, to whatever. I will close my phone 30 minutes after we close here, because some people will connect with me. But I will close my phone, I will close my computer, and I will reopen tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. Not earlier, or I'm somewhere in the world and then it's different. But take your time. You need to relax. You need to have a great sleep. And it's not about the hours, it's about the quality of the sleep. So for you, it's important to know your purpose, your core values, what you want to achieve in your life, and then make your plan, because it's your responsibility to be engaged and to have a great future. Massimo has a question of a total different perspective. He said, do you plan to walk to Finisterre? And Finisterre, in the old history of Europe, that was the end of the world. There was nothing left on the left side of it. So they thought that the Compostelle was the end of the world. I will go there, Massimo, but for me, it's not the end of the Camino. The end of the Camino is going into the cathedral and putting my hand on the coffin of St. Jacob. Because I'm walking the Camino, the way, you know, the movie, The Way, the American movie, great movie, and you have about 10 spots that you can see in the Camino. That is the end. It's the Camino de Santiago to St. Jacob's. So that's where you want to go, and then you walk on another 3 days to the end of the world. And then you go home. And some people just turn around and walk home. Maybe in someday I will walk from my hometown Zwolle to Santiago. That will take me 95 days, I think. Maybe I'm energetic enough then to walk back another 100 days, but I'm not sure that my family would love it. Now, I had the happiness circle, 50%, 40%, 10%. Go to the chat. What is the biggest part, the 50%? Is that your genes? Is that the choices you make in your life? Or is that the circumstances you were born in and still live in? So the 50%, is that circumstances? Is that the choices you make in your life? Or is it your genes, thanks to mom and dad? Natalia said circumstance, 10% genes, choices. Diana, thank you. Come on, give me more. I think you should know by now, but what Renee and I told you, that choices could be a great opportunity. Nobody? Okay, I'm going to tell it because the hour is gone and some people are leaving. 50% choices, yes. It's, of course, it's choices depending on circumstances, but you answer with your choices on circumstances. It's done research by 24,000 identical twins. So it's not something strange. No, they had identical twins. 50% of them were living somewhere else. So they didn't know each other even. And then the research showed that 50% of your happiness has to do with the choices you make in your life, 40% with your genes, and only 10% with the circumstances you live in. If you look at the world happiness outcome, you will see that in the top 50 are countries in the world that are belonging to the poorest in the world. Still, Costa Rica is in the top 10. Why? Because they are so connected to their family. For them, family, the choices that they make with their family are 10 times important than that they are poor. And I've been to Namibia and I've seen the poorness there, and to Johannesburg in South Africa, and being to the ugly places there. And still, I talk to people who weren't violent because of where they were living. They were happy. And they were telling me about the choices and why they did the things that they did. And I was amazed by it, that people who own nothing still are happy and still are quite satisfied with the way they are living. Do they want something else? Yes, of course. It's not that they are easy to go with.
And perhaps it makes sense, Paul, when you think about it, that circumstances and genes we don't have any control over, but we do have control over the choices that we make, and that empowers us.
Yeah.
And that gives us more happiness because we feel we can do something to change the circumstance and maybe even the genes that we think are controlling us. So it's about the control that we have, that we give ourselves.
I have another question. Please explain the concept of engagement with supporting studies. How can I feel engaged in my company? How do I measure it? The easiest answer is Gallup uses the Q12. There are 12 questions. If I talk to my professor, Arnold Bakker, he said that it's not scientifically proven, because then you need at least 28 questions. We use tools, not expensive, they are in the world, that we can measure happiness. Chat is one of them that's created by the Cambridge University. It's quite strong, scientifically proven. It's not expensive. If you want to measure it, you can do it. You will get a big report out of it. So you can do it. If you want to do it in companies, we have employee engagement tools, which create a big load of data, which we can search through and see what the company needs to get to the next level. So that's why I said it's quite important in an organization to start with the CEO, to start with the C-suite, to convince them that happiness and engagement are very important in an organization. But hey, on the other hand, your private life depends on your happiness and your engagement. So I hope that I can help you with this. I put my email address in the chat, paul@andare, that's Italian, andare.nl, paul@andare.nl. Just send me a mail. I'm willing to discuss stuff with you. That's my purpose, so I will help you. If it becomes too much, I will tell you openly, hey, now it's too much. But hey, I'm happy to serve. Renee knows that I love to serve, and I love to serve as a world president. It's an amazing job to be able to spread the message among people who are happy to hear it. So I want to close here. I want to thank you all for being here, listening to me and Renee, and thank you for your attention and your questions. And I hope to meet soon and link with me on LinkedIn. That would be nice. See you soon.